Sa lesson na to, i-discuss natin ang finite geometric series. When we say geometric series, this is the sum of the terms of a geometric sequence. So, ibig sabihin, i-add lang natin yung mga term dun sa isang geometric sequence. And then, we have also what we call finite geometric series. So, since finite, ibig sabihin, it will represent the sum of finite number of terms in a geometric sequence. So, may given lang tayo na specific number of terms sa isang geometric sequence para mahanap natin yung kanyang sum. And then, the sum of the n terms of a finite geometric sequence is represented by the equation s sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus a sub 1 times r plus a sub 1 times r raised to 2 plus a sub 1 r raised to 3 plus or until a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Etong a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1, ito yung n-term formula natin. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong n-term na given or meron tayong finite number of terms na kailangan kuhanan ng sum. We have two formula for the sum of the terms of a finite geometric sequence. Yung unang formula natin ay s sub n is equal to a sub 1 multiplied by 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Dito, yung r natin should not be equal to 1 and yung a sub n natin is unknown or hindi given. Or, meron pa tayong isang formula na gagamitin which is s sub n is equal to a sub 1 minus r times a sub n all over 1 minus r. Again, dito, ang value ng r natin should not be equal to 1. And ang a sub n this time is known or alam natin yung value ng a sub n or yung last term ng isang geometric sequence. Let's have the first problem. What is the sum of the first 30 terms of the geometric sequence 20, negative 20, 20, negative 20, and so on? So, kung mapapansin nyo, ang sequence natin ay same lang yung value except sa nag-alternate yung positive and negative numbers which is 20 at saka negative 20. So, kailangan natin hanapin yung sum ng first 30 terms of this sequence. So, ang given natin, ang a sub 1 is 20, ang common ratio ay negative 1 dahil negative 20 divided by 20 is negative 1. And then, yung value ng n natin is 30 since we need to find the sum of the first 30 terms of the sequence. So, dahil hindi given yung ating a sub n, yung unang formula ang gagamitin natin. Yung s sub n is equal to a sub 1 multiplied by 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. So, substitute lang tayo. We need to solve for s sub 30 and then palitan mo yung a sub 1 ng 20, yung value ng r which is negative 1, and then yung value ng n which is 30. And then yung r ulit dito sa baba which is negative 1. And then simplify muna natin yung negative 1 raised to 30. So since even number yung exponent natin at dahil negative to, pero dahil even number ang exponent, automatically ang ating answer is positive. So magiging positive tong negative 1 raised to 30. So, magiging 1 minus 1 na siya. And 1 minus 1, that is equal to 0. Pero dito sa denominator, since we need to change the sign ng ating subtrahend at saka yung operation, magiging positive to parehas. Kaya magiging 1 plus 1. That is equal to 2. Pero dahil meron tayong 1 minus 1 is equal to 0 dun sa numerator, 20 times 0 is 0. And 0 over 2 is equal to 0. So, ibig sabihin, ang sum nung first 30 terms natin sa sequence na to ay 0. Let's have the second example. What is the sum of the first 45 terms of the geometric sequence 30, negative 30, 30, negative 30, and so on? So, parang the same din sa given sa number 1 kanina. Same lang yung mga terms pero magka-alternate lang yung sign nila. Positive to Negative, positive to negative. So, first, identify natin yung given. Ang a sub 1 natin is 30. And then, ang common ratio natin ay negative 1 dahil negative 30 divided by 30 is negative 1. And then, since we need to find the sum of the first 45 terms, ibig sabihin yung value ng n natin is 45. So, to get the sum, we need to use this formula. Yung s sub n is equal to a sub 1 multiplied by 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. So, substitute lang tayo ng given natin. We need to find the sum of the first 45 terms. So, 45 yung ating sub. And then, we have 30 yung ating a sub 1. Then, yung common ratio na negative 1. Then, yung value ng n na 45. And then, a common ratio again here na negative 1. Then, simplify natin yung negative 1 raised to 45. So, since yung negative 1 ay may odd number na exponent, ang magiging answer pa rin niya is negative 1. And then, we need to change the sign of the subtrahend tsaka yung operation. So, magiging positive na sila parehas. Same din dito sa denominator. Yung negative 1 minus 1, mag-change ulit ng sign dito sa subtrahend. Same with the operation. So, magiging 1 plus 1 na siya. So, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Dito rin sa numerator, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So, we have now 30 times 2 over 2. So, dito pa lang, pwede na tayo mag-cancel ng 2. So, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Same with the denominator. So, ang magiging answer na natin is 30. So, yung sum ng first 45 terms of the sequence, 30, negative 30, and so on, ay 30. So, sa madaling sabi, pwede na nating i-generalize na kapag yung n terms or yung number ng n mo ay odd number, tapos alternate lang naman yung sign ng mga terms, ibig sabihin yung magiging sum natin is the first term. Kapag naman even number yung n mo, tapos we need to find the sum na alternate pa rin yung kanyang mga terms, positive and negative, ang magiging sum naman niya is 0. Let's have the third example. What is the sum of the first 8 terms of the geometric sequence 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, and so on? So, first 8 term yung hahanapan natin ng sum. So, ang given natin, ang a sub 1 is 16, and then ang common ratio ay 8 divided by 16, which is 1/2. Pag ni-lowest term, using greatest common factor na 8, 8 divided by 8 is 1, 16 divided by 8 is 2. And then, since we need to find the 8th term, ang value ng n natin ay 8. So, since hindi pa rin natin alam ang value ng a sub n, gamitin pa rin natin ng formula na s sub n is equal to a sub 1 times 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Substitute. S sub 8 is equal to 16, palitan mo yung a sub 1 na 16, and then yung value ng r na 1/2, yung value ng n na 8, and then yung r ulit dito sa denominator. So, ang unang isi-simplify is 1/2 raised to 8. So, 1/2 raised to 8, magiging 1 over 256. Kasi 2 raised to 8, that is equal to 256, and 1 raised to 8, that is 1. And then next, kailangan natin masubtract yung 1 minus 1 over 256. So, yung 1, since whole number siya, pwede natin siyang gawing 256 over 256 para same denominator na siya nung 256. So, like term na siya. Pwede na tayo mag-subtract. So, subtract lang natin yung numerator and then copy the denominator. So, from here, pag sinubtract na natin 256 minus 1, that is 255, and copy the denominator na 256, pwede na tayo ngayon mag-multiply sa 16 or pwede na tayong mag-cancel out dito sa denominator na 256. So, 16 divided by 16, that is 1, and 256 divided by 16, that is 16. So, magiging 255 over 16 all over 1/2. And then, dito, pwede na tayo mag-divide ng fraction. So, 255 over 16 divided by 1/2, magiging 255 over 16 times 2 over 1. Kasi i-reciprocal natin yung divisor kapag ka-fraction. And then we can now proceed to multiplication. So, dito, pwede tayong mag-cancel ng 2 dito sa numerator. That will be equal to 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Dito naman, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So, magiging 255 over 8. Ibig sabihin, yung ating S sub 8 ay 255 all over 8. Let's have the first example. The sum of the first n terms in the geometric sequence for 1236 is 4,372. How many terms are there if the common ratio is 3? So, ibig sabihin, dito, from the given sequence na for 1236, ay makakakuha daw tayo ng sum na 4,372. Pero hindi natin alam kung ilang term or terms ang inad para makuha ang 4,372. Kapag ang common ratio daw ay 3, ilang terms ang inad natin para makuha itong sum na to? So, ang nawawala dito ay ang value ng n. So, again, ang given natin, a sub 1 is 4. Yung r natin from 12 divided by 4, which is 3. Tapos, yung 4,372, that is our s sub n. And of course, ang nawawala is yung value ng n. So, using this formula na s sub n is equal to a sub 1 times 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r, pwede na natin i-substitute ngayon yung mga given para ma-solve natin yung value ng n. So, substitute, ang sum natin is 4,372. Ang value ng a sub 1 ay 4. Ang value ng r ay 3. And then, since wala tayong n, stay lang siya dyan. And then, dito, yung r ulit sa denominator, which is 3. And then, simplify 1 minus 3, that is equal to negative 2. So, yung dito, pwede na tayo mag-divide ng negative 2. So, 4 divided by negative 2, that is equal to negative 2. And then, magiging 4,372 is equal to negative 2 times 1 minus 3 raised to n. So, from the equation 4,372 equals negative 2 times 1 minus 3 raised to n, kailangan natin ma-isolate yung 3 raised to n para ma-solve natin yung value ng n. So, yung first step is we need to divide both sides by negative 2. So, 4,372 divided by negative 2, that will be equal to negative 2,186. And dito sa right side, makakancel na natin both yung negative 2, that will be equal to 1. And then we have now negative 2,186 equals 1 minus 3 raised to n. So, yung next step, i-transpose na natin yung 1 sa left side. So, that will be equal to negative 1. Then, negative 2,186 minus 1 is equal to negative 2,187 equals negative 3 raised to n. And then, we need to make multiply both sides by negative 1 para ma-remove natin yung negative sign sa right side. So, that will be 2,187 equals 3 raised to n. And then, we need to make 2,187 base of 3. So, gagawin natin siyang base 3. So, para mangyari yun, kailangan natin i-multiply yung 3 sa sarili niya para malaman natin or para ma-solve natin ang 2,187. So, ilang 3 nga ba ang pwede natin i-multiply? That will be equal to 7. So, 7 times natin i-multiply yung 3 sa sarili niya para ma-solve natin yung 2,187. So, since parehas na sila ng base na 3, we can now have our new equation na 7 is equal to n. So, sa madaling sabi, ang value ng n is 7 or ang 4,372 ay ang ating pang 7th term of our geometric sequence. Let's have the 5th example. How many terms of the sequence 3, 3 over 2, 3 over 4, 3 over 8, and so on must be taken to have a sum of 765 over 128. So, i-analyze natin tong problem na to. Ang given natin, a sub 1 is 3. Ang common ratio ay 3 over 2 divided by 3. So, pag nag-divide ulit tayo ng fraction to a whole number, yung whole number, gagawin natin siyang fraction, magiging 3 over 1, and then i-reciprocal natin yung 3 over 1, magiging 1 over 3, and then proceed tayo sa multiplication. So, 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So, 3 over 6, that is equal to 1 half. Or pwede ka na mag-cancel agad ng 3 dito. So, magiging 1 na yan parehas, and then 1 times 1 is 1, then 2 times 1 is 2. So, ang common ratio natin dito ay 1 half. And then, ang given natin na S of n is equal to 765 over 128. So, dito, wala tayong value ng n. Ang hahanapin natin ay yung value ng n kasi hindi natin alam kung ilang terms ang dapat i-add para makuha yung 765 over 128. So, from the formula na S sub n is equal to a sub 1 times 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r, mag-substitute tayo gamit yung mga given information. So, S sub n is 765 over 128. Ang a sub 1 magiging 3. Yung r magiging 1 half. Same dito sa taas at saka sa baba. So, from 765 over 128 is equal to 3 times 1 minus 1 half raised to n all over 1 minus 1 half. I-simplify muna natin yung 1 minus 1 half. That is equal to 1 half. And then, magmumultiply both sides tayo by 1 half para matanggal yung 1 half dito sa denominator. So, makakancel na yung 1 half dito sa right side. And then, dito sa left side, imumultiply lang natin to. 1 times 765, that is 765. And then, 2 times 128, that is 256. And then, ang next step natin is, we need to remove 3. So, multiply both sides by 1/3 or magdi-divide both sides tayo by 3. So, dito, 1/3 times 765 over 256, pwede tayo mag-simplify by canceling 3 or using the greatest common factor na 3. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 765 divided by 3 is 255. Dito naman sa right side, makakancel na natin yung 3 dito sa cancel na natin yung 3 dito at yung denominator dito na 3. And then next, we have now 255 over 256 is equal to 1 minus 1 half raised to n. So, kailangan matanggal muna natin yung 1 dito sa tabi ng 1 half raised to n. So, para mangyari yun, para ma-solve natin yung value ng n, kailangan nating ilipat or pagpalitin ng pesto yung 1 half raised to n at saka 255 over 256. Para maging positive yung 1 half raised to n. Pag nilipat mo siya dito sa left side, positive na siya. Yung 255 over 256, pag nilipat sa right side, magiging negative. And then, kailangan i-subtract yung 1 at saka 255 over 256. So, para mangyari yun, kailangan muna natin gawing fraction yung 1. So, since 256 ang denominator dito, gawin na natin 256 over 256 yung 1 para like term na sila. So, mabilis na tayo mag-subtract. So, 256 minus 255, that is equal to 1. And copy lang yung denominator. And then, para ma-solve natin yung value ng n, kailangan natin gawing base 1 half, yung 1 over 256. So, para mangyari yon, kailangan natin alamin kung ilang 2 ang imumultiply sa sarili niya para makuha ang 256. So, that is 8. So, 8 2 ang imumultiply sa sarili niya para makuha ang 256. So, sa madaling sabi, meron tayo ngayong 1 half raised to 8. So, since parehas yung base natin na 1 half, we can now have our new equation na n is equal to 8 dahil sa power property of equality. So, ibig sabihin, 8 number ang pwede nating i-add or 8 term ang i-add natin from this sequence para makuha ang sum na 765 over 128. Let's have the last example or the 6th example. The first term of a geometric sequence is 3 and the last term is 192. If the sum of the terms of the sequence is 129, what is the common ratio? So this time, ang hinahanap natin ang value ng r. Ang given, ang a sub 1 is 3, ang a sub n natin ay 192 dahil siya daw yung last term. Tapos yung sum of the sequence or yung s sub n natin ay 129. And ang hinahanap natin ay ang common ratio. So since given yung a sub n natin, yung isang formula ang gagamitin natin. Yung s sub n is equal to a sub 1 minus r times a sub n all over 1 minus r. So, substitute lang tayo based dun sa given. Yung S sub n natin, that is 129. Ang A sub 1 ay 3. Tapos, yung value ng R ang nawawala. So, stay lang siya dyan ng R. Ang A sub n is 192. That is the last term. And then, copy lang yung 1 minus R. So, ang variable na lang na natitira ay yung R. So, ito ang kailangan nating ma-solve para mahanap natin ang value ng common ratio. So, yung una nating gagawin is multiply both sides by 1 minus r para matanggal yung 1 minus r dito. Makakancel na siya yung 1 minus r. And then, dito sa left side, madidistribute na natin yung 129 sa 1 minus r. 129 times 1 minus r is equal to 3 minus r times 192. So, distribute muna natin yung 129. So, 129 times 1 is 129. 129 times negative r is negative 129r. And then, dito, multiply lang natin yung r tsaka 192. That is 192r. Then, syempre, copy yung sign na negative. And then, simplify natin. Kailangan pagsamahin natin yung like term. So, lipat natin yung negative 192r dito sa left side, tapos yung 129 dun sa right side. So, magiging negative 129r plus 192r kasi negative siya dito sa right side. So, pag nilipat dito sa left side, magpa-positive. And then, 3 minus 129. Kasi yung 129 dito ay positive. So, pag nilipat sa right side, magne-negative na siya. And then, we can now combine like terms. So, negative 129r plus 192r is 63r. And 3 minus 129 is negative 126. And then, divide both sides by 63. So, pag nag-divide both sides ka by 63, matatanggal na yung yung coefficient ng r. So, divide both sides by 63, makakancel na yung 63 dito. And then, dito sa right side, makakapag-divide na tayo ng 63. So, it means, ang value ng r natin is equal to negative 2. Dahil negative 126 divided by 63 is negative 2. So, dito sa sequence na to, ang common ratio daw natin ay negative 2.